he gets into the 95 of Folks. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona, and away we go for the first time. Nicholas Morcel, Sean.
Looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Up now as we've got three wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Go out here for Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
See just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
New stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 lead at the moment.
They're dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, Justin Sang.
They are ready to go. The lights are out, and away we go for the very first time here at Okayama International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Old Bastards Racing League. I am Gareth McAllister, bringing you action in 1080p 60 frames a second, if I am able to do so using my very Australian internet. Welcome one and all to the Martinsville Paperclip. We have a great race in store, and you can see there that we have just been let know that Michael Watts has taken over the top spot all of a sudden, literally just that moment. So great job from him to take pole on qualifying so far away from Greg McDaniel. But we've also got Dave Nestor out on track, and he's just starting his flying lap so we can see what he puts in time as we let you know that once again we are at the Martinsville Paperclip thanks to the Kimball Cup Series here at the Old Bastards Racing League. And it should be some interesting racing we've got here tonight for you. We have a round about 170, well exactly 175 laps of racing here for you tonight. Average fuel run between 165 to 170 laps, so not pitting necessary unless we run green the entire way. So we may be seeing that. If you did not catch our broadcast last week, please check that one out. That was a fantastic race at Bristol Dirt, and Lloyd Moore took home the win in that one with a fantastic finish, flinging that thing sideways all around the circuit. So great job from him and all the other drivers, as we should be looking at a fairly solid field here tonight. Only 14 people so far out on track that have made their way around. We see Brian Lynch is now coming out to make his way around, see if he can get a time in. But quite a few drivers not setting a timeout, so they're opting to start slightly further back, it looks like. As we see if this Hooters back number 9 machine can make his way to the front. So Martinsville Paperclip here tonight, 0.52 miles, the very shortest track on the schedule. So it will be testing these drivers also in the championship hunt later on in the season. I believe it's the second or third last race we go to in the entire championship. So definitely a test for these drivers, and something that they'll have to get used to work on if they want to be in championship contention, if they find themselves in championship contention within the sprint, that they have to make their way around this track and figure it out pretty quick, as we currently see Greg Hammond is out there performing quite well at the moment, currently sitting outside the top 16, but currently trying to get on the board. So we'll see where he kind of etches himself into, as Dan Hill all of a sudden has brought his way into second position. So that's seemingly out of nowhere as drivers start to take full advantage of the fact that the sun is going down during the end of this qualifying session. Hammond up into the 14th position, now down to 15th as Wayne Hufford just sets a lap time. Tyre wear, not a factor in this race, and certainly something to keep in mind is going to be the concrete heading into turns 1 out of turn 2, into turn 3, and out of turn 4. Definitely going to make it interesting for these drivers as they have to change surface. And the car changes a lot on how it feels. Especially having to avoid that inside curb. You can see there quite high that curb is. It's deceptively high as it can really knock these cars out of balance. As Kevin Strandberg, we were just watching there, he sets the 4th fastest time in qualifying at the moment. We're going to start watching Dale Copeland as he makes his way around the circuit in the 55 machine. So another interesting point we have to remind ourselves here is that some drivers may actually opt to shift down from 4th into 3rd and then get that drive off, which will really loosen up the car on exit, but also give the speed on exit that these drivers will be looking for as they keep their RPMs as high as possible. Definitely a choice between drivers, as I believe Dale Copeland there. You can see the fire, and that's exactly what we were talking about. I believe we saw the flame coming out of the exhaust as Copeland was attempting to do exactly what we just said, working on shifting down and trying to get the run out, but it just didn't seem like it was working for him as we were going to watch Dean Gear, but I believe he's just came into pit road as well. So Josh Robinson is currently out on track. Our most winningest driver so far in this season. And finding himself on pole right as we pan to him. Josh Robinson once again showing just what he's made of. As 3 wins not quite enough for his liking and wanting to add more to the tally for this race here tonight. Mark Schrader was in the chat saying that he couldn't make it in time from Martinsville, watching the Cup race to make it to our race here tonight. It's unfortunate not to see him out on track, but I'm sure we will be seeing a bit of him as we get gridded up and we get ready to go. And we pull up the grid for you here tonight. So we are starting on pole, Joshua Robinson. Michael Watts starting in the 2nd position. Dan Hill in 3rd and Greg McDaniel starting alongside in 4th. Kevin Strandberg in 5th and Tom Ogle in the 3rd row alongside in the 6th position. Not the most amazing qualifying from Ogle, so we'll be looking to see him jump through those few standings. But a lot of competition coming out here tonight as Robert Garisco finds himself in the 7th position and Lloyd Moore in 8th. Eddie Jones in the 9th spot. Cameron Chaussee in the 10th position. Dale Copeland in 11th. And Clay Walker starting alongside in your 6th row. Cycling it on back. 13th position, Brian McRubbin. 14th, Wayne Hufford. Brian Lynch and Kevin Cormier are going to be starting out in our 8th row. Our 9th row, Jonathan Green and Chris Bates. 10th row are going to be Dave Nestor and Greg Hammond. Michael Dow and Dean Gear, are going to be in our 11th row. Brian Lindsay and Dustin Martinson are going to start off in our 12th row here tonight. We keep cycling on back. As always, a big field here in the Kimball Cup Series, the Old Bastards Racing League. Dwayne MacArthur with a very unfortunate qualifying from him, putting in not as much practice as we've seen in the past, and that may just come to hurt him. Going to have to work his way up through the track, as well as Jason Fellenbaum, who starts alongside there in the 26th position. Eric Essery and Bruce Pearson in the 27th and 28th positions. Mike Lynch and Alan Wanamaker starting in the 15th row alongside each other. Daniel Edgreen and Troy Baker are going to be in our 16th row, and Mark Fish is showing up as our 33rd driver, starting at the back of the pack, all in his lonesome in that 33rd position. So we get ready for a great night tonight. I wonder who's going to win the good old Martinsville Grandfather Clock. Sit back, relax, grab yourself a Martinsville hot dog, possibly the one of many famous things around this track, and grab yourself one of those as you settle in, sit back and relax, and we get ready to go racing here at Martinsville Speedway, as all the cars line up and get ready to rock and roll. Pace car makes that dive down to pit road. We get ready, still at pit road speed for the moment. Robinson and Watts. And we're underway as Robinson takes the lead just barely from Michael Watts as they stay side by side heading into T1. Coming out of turn 2, very similar paint jobs, and Josh Robinson gets that jump that he was looking for. That inside line working very well. Ogle already looking to make a dive to the inside of McDaniel, and wow, he tried to move on the outside. Wasn't expecting to see that anytime soon. Already trying to see if the outside is going to work at all for him in the jockey-backed American machine as he gets passed on the underside now by Tom Ogle. It looks like Ogle is going to take that spot away, and does so as McDaniel goes very, very wide. And Moore, our winner from last week, tries to take that spot away. Not able to do so, leaves the gap for him. But getting a much cleaner run throughout the corner and makes it stick. So he is going to take that spot away. It looks like Clay Walker is around, and there is a big kerfuffle going on further back here. A caution, unsurprisingly, has come out. White Castle, the Hooters-backed machine, also involved in that one. And what have we to witness? Clay Walker having a lot of trouble, it looked like there. So we're watching Walker at the moment because he was definitely the focus point. And oh, it wasn't Walker at all. It was the 55. That's who we were watching earlier. That's Dale Copeland. And it looks like he just got absolutely loose as he ran up from 3rd to 4th as we were watching out for. And the field, nowhere to go as they are all right there. And just getting involved in this one, as it looks like Walker tried to get it stopped, wasn't able to do so. Cars going every direction trying to avoid. Oh, MacArthur with a huge hit. And just a little bit of netcode it looked like between there as well. Some drivers coming to a complete stop. And we will watch that one once again. We'll try and grab an on-board shot. Cycle that one on back really quick. Dale Copeland, let's just listen in. Oh, yep. Too high on the revs. And around she goes. And a whole lot of smoke as the field comes through. Thankfully not too much damage to Copeland, but costing quite a few other drivers. As it looks like the field for the most part is doing alright so far. But yeah, just a very unfortunate situation, especially for pretty much every driver involved there. Nowhere to go. Backman coming in to say that he was in time to see DMAC get collected. And yes, you were, as he found himself starting further down in the pack. So unfortunate for him. Mayo coming in saying that he enjoyed a couple chili dogs at home. That is great to see. I hope you are very much enjoying yourself. And we get ready to go back to green once again. Jeremy Mayo, Mark Schrader, and Pac-Man CT joining us from the spectator area. Appreciate them coming in and supporting their drivers, as well as the league and perhaps the broadcaster. As Joshua Robinson and Michael Watts take it home, and they're going to start off into turns 1 and 2. Josh Robinson still with that low side advantage. He's going to take that spot away as Watts tries to funnel in behind. That high side really not where you want to be stuck out. As you can see, Ogle is losing the position to Dan Hill, and if Moore just behind on the inside as well is able to get in there, that could potentially keep him very high. McDaniel almost has the... and he's going to make that stick on the outside. Very interesting pass there, as Garisco is trying to send it on Moore, but not able to do so. Moore really looking slow into these corners. And we have another caution that's come out for Dale Copeland once again. So this has not been Dale Copeland's night at all, as we're currently watching from the rear end of Copeland's car. That's going to be the 60 machine alongside of Michael Dow. And I wonder if it's the same situation again. Just trying to rev through the gears to get as much of a drive off the corner as possible. And just loses, you could see the little bit of a bobble on corner exit on the concrete. And just loses the rear end. Plowed straight into the barrier. And losing, well, literally losing the front end completely, as that piece of machine just goes barreling into the track and takes a tow to get out of the way from all the drivers in front. So very unfortunate day for Copeland very early on, as we see a number of drivers who've come down pit road. Troy Baker, Kevin Cormier, Dale Copeland, and Clay Walker all down pit road at the moment. These drivers probably getting a few repairs queued up for themselves. And getting ready once again, as we are only lap 13 of 175. And these drivers saving fuel under caution in eye-pacing conditions, so fuel not as much an issue. You can see that inside curb there, just how high it is. I'm really wondering if anyone's going to make that mistake and turn in just a little bit too much. Catch the left side tires on that. Victor Lane coming in saying it's not an aero track, but the front bumper is still helpful. And you would be entirely right, Victor. Yeah, Dale Copeland just in a world of hurt at the moment. But I believe he may still be out on track. No, I think he might have actually left the session. Oh, well. As we get ready to go again. So Josh Robinson, Michael Watts starting in your front row. Tom Ogle and Dan Hill. Ogle on the high side in your second row. Greg McDaniel and Lloyd Moore is on the high side of your third row. So we get ready to rack them, stack them, and roll them once again. As Robinson continues to choose the inside line, and I'm not entirely surprised by that one. As here we go, we're under green. And it looks like Watts may have jumped the start just barely as Robinson spun the tyres. It'll be interesting, the decision on that one. as Watts actually took the front position going through the start-finish straight and may actually have the front of the field right now as he tries to really get that car rocking and rolling on that high side and actually does take the position away from Robinson. So it'll be interesting to see what the stewards say about that one, as Robinson's did definitely spin the tyres and wasn't able to get going as quick as he wanted to. And Robinson is going to have to settle for second place right now, though, as they continue the charge forward. Cycling it on all the way back to the 13th position with Wayne Hufford as he tries to pass, I believe that was Jonathan Green on the high side. And Green's stuck up there. He's quite high on the banking of the concrete here. 12 degrees of banking. And Martinsville, one of the oldest tracks on the entire calendar, if not the oldest, opened in 1947. So history dating back so far. And the reason why they give out a grandfather clock is because in the 1960s, I believe it was, they decided that they wanted a trophy that symbolized the area. And there was a big furniture warehouse, or was known for making great furniture around Martinsville. And so that took care of that. But Greg Hammond, we're being told, has been in the crash reports, which is really not what I wanted to see. I was really rooting for Greg Hammond, I must admit, in that 88 machine. Looking like having a fairly solid run. Getting into the rookie driver, maybe the 117 of Mike Lynch. Just maybe sticks his nose in on the outside of the corner. And looking okay so far. And there's the rear. There it goes. Round she goes. Where she stops, nobody knows. The inside wall's going to have an opinion on it, though. And not just the front bumper, but also the side of that machine. Getting a little bit of a lick on that one as well. As he goes around. So Brian Lindsay, Eric Essery, Alan Wanamaker, and Daniel Edgren are all down pit road. Daniel Edgren as well, another driver with triple digits, so another newcomer to the series. Great to see more newcomers. Always, well, I shouldn't say expecting, but we're always anticipating more drivers, new drivers, and great to see them come out and make their way to the Kimball Cup Series. So you get some fresh rubber put on that machine, so that's an interesting one to see. As tyre wear, not a huge factor here at Martinsville either. Mayo agreeing with me, the old Ridgeway grandfather clock coming in. And that is absolutely right. So the grandfather clock tradition started back in the 60s. And now it's owned by a parent company. It's not its own company anymore, but they still drew the tradition to this day, which is fantastic. And I actually love the clocks that they make. I don't know if you have ever had a chance to check it out, but just Google NASCAR grandfather clock and you'll have a look. It looks absolutely astounding. And I really reckon when they start getting more than one win, where do you put those grandfather clocks? Because they are massive and they take up a whole lot of room. As pretty as they are, you know, you got to find space for all that stuff. But regardless, Michael Watts currently in the top position now. So I believe the marshals looked at that one and decided that it was all A-OK, as Robinson did spin those tires. And we definitely saw an example of that. So Watts up front. Robinson will be starting in the second row. Watts decides to start on the inside line. No surprise there, as that is definitely the preferred line here at Martinsville. Tom Ogle and Dan Hill are going to be rocking and rolling in the second row. And Lloyd Moore and Greg McDaniel once again rounding out our top three rows. Ready to rock and roll. We are underway again as Michael Watts gets a nice jump. We've seen him do that before, and we'll see him do it again as Josh Robinson really struggles to try and come in with Tom Ogle on the inside line now, trying to make that pass and make it stick as the two teammates go side by side. Potentially maybe some tomfoolery going around as Ogle may let Robinson in, but decides against it. Really adding to the intrigue here at Martinsville Speedway as Ogle is not going to let Robinson down, but Robinson's got enough room in front of downhill to make that gap work for him, so he's going to be in the third place spot right now as Ogle makes a charge to the back of Watts and is going to make a run really early on. It looked like he may have had the run. Watts is going to have to leave him the space unless he wants to be turned around. They go side by side on the backstretch, and once again we have a caution further back in the pack. We're being told Troy Baker, Dustin Martinson, Alan Wanamaker all involved in this one. This could be a bit of a doozy here. Currently watching Troy Baker. 18 machine on that high side there. As looks as though we're being told that he was the first one to have a bit of an incident here. Ball gets outside, two tires on the, oh, right in front of them, the 19 machine. What happened there? Oh, and it's chaos. No, Hammond gets involved. Just a quick stop from Wanamaker, not getting involved. Great job from him. Try and see Dustin Martinson. It looked like was the biggest one involved in that one. And actually, the 18 machine wasn't involved at all. So it looks like everything is still fine and dandy up to this point, midway through. Oh, and the 60 in the White Castle gives him a little bit of a love tap. I thought it was going to be more than that, but it really wasn't that bad. And then the rear right-hand tire just gets caught up in the tarmac, or the asphalt, I should say. And left side's on the concrete, and that is just a bad situation. Lindsay tried to check up, but Hammond was right behind, didn't see it happening. Great job from all the other drivers, though, to avoid that one. And get their machines locked down as quick as possible. So that happened. Dale Copeland now joining us in the spectator area, saying he ran a bit of practice with no issues and couldn't hold it steady at all during the race. Mind you, I believe we did have... I wasn't watching too closely on the weather during practice, but I can say during qualifying, there was a bit of cloud cover over the track, which may have caused the track to grip a little bit better as it was in the shade and cooling down, as opposed to right now the sun is out and blasting at the moment during the race, so that may have had some effect. Being asked if that has DQ'd Dow, and I believe it may have, as Dow is no longer on track. So I believe that may be Dow, and he may be, for lack of a pun, and I excuse myself straight away for this one, he may be down and out. Haha. I'm sorry, I have bad sense of humor. As Michael Watts and Tom Ogle take up our first row. Josh Robinson and Dan Hill in the second row. McDaniel and Moore still in our third row. So Robinson dropped down a couple of spots. Ogle made a couple of spots, but other than that, our top few have remained very relatively the same, as Ogle not wanting to get too far in front of Watts before the green, but there he goes. So managing it quite well as he checks up just a little bit to allow Watts to get through. And Watts goes by. Is Robinson going to allow Ogle to come down into the inside lane? Definitely got the room. Not wanting it though, as Ogle just sends it to the outside line, trying to make that one work. around Watts, and it's not going to work. If it does, you're going to have to very much impress the gods of iRacing and of NASCAR, as Martinsville Speedway does not like that high line at all, and it takes a very lot of skill to be able to make that lane work. As it looks like we've got single file all throughout the pack, except for our 14th position. Looks like Mike Lynch actually just made that pass on Cameron Chaussee for the 13th position. So our brand new driver in the 117 John Deere machine has made his way up to the 13th spot. And that was a good rhyme, if I do say so myself. So he is looking very racy indeed. We've seen a few spots of really great moments coming out of Mike Lynch in the past few races. It's great to see so far. Definitely working his way up to being a top contender in the future, as we have another crash report. We've got Dean Gear and Clay Walker, and also Dustin Martinson is being shown as part of an accident as well. So further back in the pack once again, and we've got that one queued up. So we'll take a look and see if it's actually telling us the right person this time, or if it's still behind the main attraction. Everything looks sensible. A little bit of a lockup from Dean Gear. And it looks like a lockup in front as well. 37 machine of Eric Essery. Oh boy. Not sure why our live timing software keeps on telling us to look at the wrong person. But we're going to cycle it on back and have a look. And again at this one. So I believe Brian Lynch was definitely involved in some way, shape, and form. That Hooters machine was stopped dead on track. So we'll try and have a look at what happened to him. As the 43 just behind of Kevin Cormier is there. What happened even in front of him? What is going on? As he checked up, excuse me, find the right driver. Okay, so that looked like the did I read that right just before I the 98 machine of Jonathan Green. I believe he may have actually been kicked from the session after this. Well, too many incident points, a maximum incident limit of 7 here at the Old Bastards Racing League. And the 81 machine of Chris Bates just trying to sending it in way too hard if you ask me. But the position was slightly open, so I guess the jury is out on that one. And the 98 machine is sent around by the 81. And in comes the 42 and everyone else. The 42, I believe, was the reason that the Netherrealm was brought into play as the 7X gods take away Jonathan Green. So Mark Fish, unfortunately, getting involved in that one. Nowhere to go from his perspective, as he was already midway through the corner and trying to get stopped down. So we'll go back live and once again stack them back up. 42 laps complete of 175, and the action just keeps coming. Dustin Martin saying not sure how he got loose, but he got loose, and you know what? Sometimes that just happens. But very unfortunate race for you, and we hope that you're out on track next week and get yourself prepared and ready for that one as we make our way to the big super speedway of Talladega. But before that, I mean, I'm very excited. I love Dega as we get ready to go there. But Michael Watts to Tom Ogle, and he's going to take that spot away. Robinson now fighting Ogle, wanting that position back, and Ogle sending it to the high side once again. I don't know how he thinks that this one is going to work out, but Ogle, one of those drivers that seems to make a pass no matter where he goes. and trying to make it one of, again, you can see Eddie Jones there as well has worked his way towards the front as he goes underneath Dan Hill and takes 5th spot away, as they're still side by side slightly further back. As we pan the camera back to them, Eddie Jones is going to take that spot, almost gets involved with Dan Hill, very, very close indeed. Thankfully, Hill checking up not to make that one any worse than it already, or any closer than it already was. As a battle further back, we got Brian Lynch and Kevin Cormier side by side for the moment. Kevin Cormier looking like he's got that position taken away though. That Canadian driver with the old STP livery looking pretty racy at the moment, to the 17th position. Ryan Lindsay takes that spot away from Lynch and sends it too deep and gets all the way to the highest point of the track. Comes back down, losing several spots down into the 20th position now. And I should at some point mention the biggest mover of the race, once again, is our newcomer. I say newcomer, but one of our new drivers, Mike Lynch, up into the 12th position right now and up 17 spots, as I said. So he is looking absolutely phenomenal as this race has gone on. It looked like Dave Nestor was thinking about making a move on Chaussee, so we pan the camera there, deciding against it, not wanting to get the nose in. So taking a little bit of a back seat now, as there is a huge, you can just see how many cars there are in a line. It's just a huge gaggle, as Eric Essery has taken that spot away from Lindsay, and Lindsay looks like they are struggling. Brian Lindsay really struggling with trying to get that 24 machine to slow down into the middle of the corner here. As you can see, that 24 machine not getting on the brakes as hard as all the other drivers. We'll have to keep an eye on that one in our live timing software, as it looks like MacArthur is continuing to make up spots. He is the second biggest mover of the race and is now equal first as he makes his way around Kevin Strandberg into the 8th position, up 17 spots as well. Starting way back, I believe, in the 25th position, as well as finding himself in the incident at the very first yellow flag, being involved in that one, coming down pit road. Actually never came down pit road. I don't think came down pit road. Anyway, MacArthur still made up a whole bunch of spots though, as Mike Lynch just set their fastest lap of the race so far. And we've got Mark Fish with a crash report, and that is going to bring out the caution. Oh no, what have we got in store for this one? So that is Wanamaker, and that's Mark Fish there in the 42 machine. He has gone round. So this one once again, because I want to. So the GoPro backed machine trying to get some slides in, sending it just a little bit too hard. Yeah, trying to keep that Fox Sports machine outside on the high side line, trying to make that one stick. And it just looked like just sent it a little bit too deep, or tried to get on the power a little bit too early, excuse me, as that door was open and wanted to close it up as much as possible. The rear end deciding that there wasn't enough grip to do that, as he also tried to keep it out of the 92. The 92 didn't exit too high though. In gear did not leave a whole lot of room on exit, so the 42, in order to avoid it, really has to check up hard and loses it around and into the barricade. Thankfully, no one else getting involved though. So it has been a night of a whole bunch of moments. Let's go with moments here tonight at Martinsville Speedway. May have to find yourself getting a secondary hot dog, because this may turn out to be a little bit of a longer one. So we get ready to go once again. Michael Watts and Tom Ogle going to be starting in the front row, still continuing to be fairly dominant. Josh Robinson as well is also going to find himself in the third position with Lloyd Moore alongside on the high side. Eddie Jones and Dan Hill are going to be rounding out your third row. So a lot of the same names at the front. Nothing too interesting or different happening right now at the front of the pack as we get to green once again. Michael Watts taking home the lap 58 round, if that's even a thing, as Tom Ogle on the high side still sending it quite hard, doing a fantastic job at the moment. Lloyd Moore trying to follow him through as well, figure out just how Ogle is able to do that and stick it up on the high side and continue the pace. And Lloyd Moore doing a great job trying to check down in front of Dan Hill. Very nearly gets run over, though. That was pretty dangerous as he was checking up pretty hard to get into turn one. Ogle tries to feed it in down to the inside. Eddie Jones is there. There might be a little bit of contact, but it's not much as the two of them get into each other. Eddie Jones and Ogle once again, as Ogle does manage to take that spot and get himself into that low side line. Eddie Jones is not going to be too happy he managed to find himself in front of that. Ogle managed to find himself in front of him. So definitely a fight on our hands that we are preparing for, as Mike Lynch further back down the pack looks right behind Brian McRubbin for the 11th place spot now, trying to take that away from the 09 McDuff machine. And we're looking pretty racy at the moment. It's just ahead of them. Greg McDaniel is under fire from Dwayne MacArthur, who has worked his way through the majority of the field here and continues to do so, slowly but surely making up positions, trying to find his way to the front. The 83 Bass Pro Shops machine. And Cameron Chaussee in the 18th position, looking to find a way past Lindsay, as Lindsay's gone around, and now Brian Lynch as well, as Chaussee really got high. And when you're on the high line, you really want to avoid getting outside of that concrete. And right in front of them, and now behind them, that is going to be Kevin Cormier. What happened there? We're going to have to watch and see. It happened right in front, not quite in front of our eyes, but just in front of where we were paying attention. Jeremy Mayo saying that Jones and Ogle nose to tail grabs popcorn. Yeah, that's what it was, definitely looking that way for a little bit there, but have a look. What just happened to Cormier, as it looks like it's going to be a solo spin, and it is. Getting very, very loose in the middle of turns, or close to I would say the start of the exit of turn 4. And Bates and Lindsay both just managing to avoid that one, as Bates does a great job of locking down that machine not to get involved in anything too crazy. So just a minor self-spin, but definitely in the way out on track and not something he wants to be involved in. So we pan the camera back up front. And we've got some drivers deciding to come into pit road. Brian Lynch, Mike Lynch, Alan Wanamaker, Daniel Edgren, Troy Baker, and I believe I saw Brian Lindsay as well, just briefly. No, I think that might have been Eric Esserier, actually. As it did show someone else, but at the moment I'm not seeing anyone else in pit road right now, as Dean Gear and Kevin Cormier actually come down pit road as well. So they're going to come down pit road. As we get ready once again. No, Victor Lane, it's always fantastic to see you out on track, whether people do amazing or people are just there to have fun, you know, be competitive, whatever you want to do. I mean, I thoroughly enjoy watching everyone out on track, and you always put on a good show regardless. So, Victor, whether you think you're good enough or not, you know what? I can tell you from my personal opinion, I would love to see you out on track more. But, hey, I mean, if you couldn't make it, then you couldn't make it, and that's okay. You know, everyone's got their own stuff going on, and I understand that completely. As, we get ready, and we're on lap 69 of 175. Michael Watts currently in the first position, Josh Robinson in second. Tom Ogle and Eddie Jones going to be side by side. The battle continues between those two, as Lloyd Moore and Dan Hill are going to be in our third row in the 5th and 6th position. We're going to once again cycle this one and see how it turns out. This car makes that nice turn onto pit lane. Pit lane, probably one of the easiest here of all the tracks we go to. I definitely like seeing the pit lane start on the back stretch. Very good place to start it rather than in the middle of the corner, as Michael Watts and Josh Robinson go side by side. Michael Watts is going to take that spot though, as he has the inside, the preferred lane. But Robinson doesn't want him to go too far, as he sends it into the high side of turns 3 and 4. And actually gets a better run so far. He's going to take the lead away coming past the checkered flag. But Watts is still definitely there, as the Lowe's back machine is going to try and gets a little bit loose on the inside. Ogle going to try and make it to the inside. No, doesn't do it. Probably a very smart decision from Ogle not to get involved in that one, as Robinson takes the lead now on lap 73 of this one. A little bit loose, and that is what the drivers have been struggling with all race long, as Dwayne MacArthur sends it in deep underneath Dan Hill, and Hill leaves enough of a gap for MacArthur to be there. Hill maybe tapping the outside wall just a little bit, trying to give MacArthur a little bit too much room, I'd say, at this point. As MacArthur does take that spot away from Hill. Is Hill going to try a switchback? No, decides against it. As the two drivers really do that one quite cleanly. So Robinson gets a little bit of a lead now. 3/10, almost 4/10 over Michael Watts, who's being chased quite quickly by Tom Ogle. And Eddie Jones is just behind there, as Josh Robinson gets caught up ever so slightly there by Michael Watts as well. And Ogle looked like it lost the rear just a little bit on the exit there of turn 4. And that seems to be a very common occurrence. 4 more than 2, interestingly enough. As no driver is yet, there is not a single driver that has yet to hit that inside curbing, that I'm really concerned if someone does, because that could definitely send a car out into a crazy place. where you do not want to be and get oh so loose. The real question is, will we see someone pull a Russ Chastain towards the end of the race if we've got two drivers battling for position? I am very keen to think about that. That didn't even pop into my head until just now. So Michael Watts still sitting in the second position, being absolutely hounded by Ogle. All these drivers really in single file all the way through the field, just waiting for the driver in front to make a mistake and to capitalize on that. So Mark Fish, I believe, is joining us from the spectator area as well, as I think he has hit the incident limit as well, so he's also out of this one. As it looks like Ogle's going to make that pass and try and make it work around Watts, as Watts had a little bit of a bauble once again out of turn 2, and look how hot those rotors are glowing as Eddie Jones is going to try and strand Michael Watts up there as well. And he is going to be absolutely left hanging on that high side as Eddie Jones almost gets into the side of Ogle. They get very, very close and almost touch as Eddie Jones is going to take that spot away. Not quite able to do so as Watts still stays high, still stays pretty well intact on the high side. Possibly wanting to get down there. Perfect transition from Michael Watts to really find that gap between Jones and Moore. So only losing a couple of spots here in that move, which is very good. As it is it's almost as old as time seeing a driver, well, almost as old as since, I guess, the 1940s, seeing a driver stuck up there on the high side, getting passed on the low side. Now, I believe Martinsville actually initially started out with two pit roads, one on the front stretch and one on the back stretch, just as I was alluding not too long ago to the fact that we have pit roads starting on the back stretch. I believe it used to have two pit roads, one at the front and one at the back, and unsurprisingly, drivers on the back stretch really got screwed over when it came to under caution, as we got Wayne Hufford and Kevin Strandberg having a battle here for the 10th place spot, excuse me. So top 10 definitely on the line, as Strandberg is able to hold that spot in front of Hufford. But yeah, used to be that the drivers under caution would really have a rough go of it if they were on the back stretch, as maintaining pace speed would really not work out in their favor, let's put it that way. And so they changed it to just one long pit road with pits on the corners. And I think that's a much better decision, much safer to get on pit road as well, especially on a green. So a great choice there, as it looks like Mike Lynch. No, Mike Lynch has gone around and brought out another caution flag. The John Deere machine was looking oh so spectacular tonight. And what has happened to Mike Lynch? In front of Brian Lynch, behind Cameron Chaussee, Taco Bell machine, and the Hooters. So really stuck in between two different franchises of restaurant. And the John Deere machine just with a solo spin on the exit of turn 4. We have seen that time and time again. And Geico getting a nice little sponsorship deal out of that one. Obviously knowing where the cars are going to get loose. And pulling a perfect 360, might I add. Mike Lynch with a perfect little pirouette ballerina move out here, as he gets ready to run and gun once again. Pit stops, and a lot of pit stops at that. Bruce Pearson, Mike Watts, Dan Hill, Greg McDaniel, Lloyd Moore, Kevin Strandberg, Tom Ogle as well, Robert Garisco, Cameron Chaussee, Wayne Hufford, Brian McRubbin, Brian Lynch. It's easier to say who didn't come down pit road. I would say 3/4 of the field came down pit road. Josh Robinson deciding against it. That is a very interesting decision. as he currently sits in the top spot, and look who's in second place. Wayne, Mr. Man MacArthur, made his way up into the second position now, up 23 spots, with Brian Lindsay, who was struggling very, very hard earlier on, as he was struggling very hard on the high side, but apparently is now registered in the third position. Eric Essery as well, up 23 spots, same as Dwayne MacArthur in the fourth spot. Just keeping his nose clean in the mid-pack for the majority of the race so far. Kevin Cormier and Lloyd Moore, really the winner of the people who came down pit road. Lloyd Moore, the first one out. So MacArthur right next to Robinson, probably saying, why didn't you come down pit road? I wanted to lead a lap. As Robinson is going to retain the lead for now. Jeremy Mayo letting us know that the track position game worked in reality, and it looking like it's going to be working here, and I believe that that's going to be the case as well, as tyre fall off here is really not much of a factor, especially with just how slow these cars are going through the corners. We're still getting up to around 118 miles an hour, so not slow by any means on the straightaways. But for these machines, definitely slow. As we go under green once again, Josh Robinson gets a nice jump this time, not spinning the wheels, doing a great job to keep that lead. MacArthur tucks it in right in front of Lindsay. Eric Essery on that high side, not quite enough room. Lloyd Moore, and what is happening just behind is Cormier. Tries 3 wide, we're hinting at it, and it looks like Watts caught the raw end of that deal as he goes all the way out to the tie side. Manages to keep it underneath him though. Thankfully no 2 wide battles for him to come with, and Cormier sticks it on the inside of Moore now. Into the 6th place is Cormier. He's trying to get it up into 5th, but not able to do so, as he's going to have to wait for Moore to go around in front now, as Ogle and Cormier go side by side. Ogle making that high side work, and he's going to drag Michael Watts with him, as Watts now is seeking redemption after being on that high side of 3 wide action into Martinsville. I never thought I would have seen it, as Dan Hill sends it to the inside of Cormier. What is happening as Cormier falls down the standings a little bit now, as Dan Hill makes that pass, makes that move stick, and it looks like Cormier is going to be stuck on the high side as McDaniel comes and makes that, and damn, McDaniel gets hit. McDaniel gets hit a little bit. All of a sudden, getting sent to the shadow realm goes Cormier. Absolutely out of sight, so we stay green. The 7 times limit has been hit. Not causing a caution, as there is no car on track to be had, as the Netherrealm absolutely swallows that machine. Lindsay gets it loose up high and tags the outside wall. So going for a little bit of ride goes Lindsay as they fall back a few positions. It is getting to be chaos, and my voice is losing me as Dan Hill takes that spot away from Lindsay now, and McDaniel tries to get his hand in the ring as Lindsay goes all the way out wide. Once again struggling with that machine, the 24 just not turning the way that Lindsay wants it to, as Garisco takes that spot away for the 9th place. We took a very short break to try and have a glass of water up here in the booth to catch our breath back a little bit, as Ogle, it looks like, has a little bit of a bobble coming out of turn 2, able to keep it underneath him. You can see just how hot the rears, of all things, the rears are actually glowing a lot hotter than the front, so that's an interesting thing to develop. As these drivers choosing, a lot of them seeming to choose the brake bias, balancing more towards the rear than the front end of the car. As Dwayne MacArthur looking to the inside of Robinson, showing the nose. A battle for the lead is definitely developing as the 83 machine hucks it to the inside. Not able to pass Josh Robinson just yet. Eric Essery doing a great job in the 37 machine, just keeping pace with these two right in front. As I said, Essery, one of those drivers, just been keeping his nose clean in the mid-pack and showing that he knows how to work it in traffic. But the interesting thing is going to be is how Dwayne MacArthur is now coping on the inside line, but also out with a clean track in front of him. No dirty air right in front of that machine. And it looks like he's struggling a little bit to pass Josh Robinson as Robinson fights back now on the high side. This is astonishing stuff, as Ogle almost looked like he was going to take out Eric Essery there. But Essery says, no, that's my line. And Essery now is looking to pass Robinson. Essery's going to follow MacArthur through as MacArthur almost made that. Essery almost gets into the side of Robinson. It is it's heating up something crazy as Essery very nearly caused a bit of an incident there, but thankfully not getting into an incident in the end, as MacArthur has definitely taken that spot from Robinson. And Robinson, thanks to that little bit of a bobble by Essery, is able to get back into the second place position now. So Ogle looking to pass Essery. Essery not leaving the door open and doesn't need to. Ogle not alongside just as yet. Just trying to show the nose, showing Essery, hey, I'm right behind you and I want to get past. But Essery saying, I mean, you can get past if you want, but hey, if you're not fast enough, you ain't doing it. And it looks like that's the case as Watson, Moore and Ogle all looking, showing their nose to everyone else. Ogle showing the nose once again, still not close enough to do it. Mike Watts showing the nose just behind as well to Lloyd Moore just in front. Last week's winner Lloyd Moore doing a great job up into 5th place so far, up 3 spots. But certainly can't take this away from Eric Essery and Dwayne MacArthur, the two biggest movers of the race, currently sitting in 1st and 3rd, up 24 spots apiece. Absolutely astounding as they make their way to lap 110 of 175. A little bit further in the pack, Cameron Chaussee and Ryan Lindsay going to be battling it out for the 10th place spot. Ryan Lindsay getting a much better run, but deciding not to make a move and just sitting behind Cameron Chaussee, not wanting to do anything too crazy, as Greg McDaniel and Dan Hill, speaking of, are going to go side by side into T1 and 2. And McDaniel looks to have taken that spot into the 7th position. And Garisco, almost seemingly out of nowhere, is coming up on the rear bumper of Dan Hill as well. Eric Essery now finding himself. Ogle tried the inside for so long, it would not work. So now deciding, you know what, I'm going to try something on the high side. Not sure how that one's going to work, as Michael Watts also tries to make that pass on Lloyd Moore on the inside. Ogle definitely going to show the inside now, as Essery has to give him the room and does so. But Essery will have a little bit of a better run on exit. Not quite as good as we thought, as they're still side by side. Michael Watts did get past Lloyd Moore just behind them. Essery is going to be stuck up there as Watts is right underneath his door as well once again. So Essery not wanting to be stuck there for too long as Moore goes around now. Wanting to get down just behind Moore. And it looks like McRubbin just come off pit road in the background there in the McDuff machine. So Essery able to get back into the groove on the inside line. Lap traffic going high. Great job there. I believe that is one of our new drivers of Daniel Edgren. Going a lap down there. Dean Gear has come down pit road under green from further back in the pack, but we continue to watch this battle up front because, look, it's Mr. Long Run himself, Josh Robinson, coming back through the field. And Dwayne MacArthur is going to have to be watching that rearview mirror and defending like crazy if he wants to keep Robinson behind. Justin Martinson and Jeremy Mayo in, well, basically in the spectator area, just talking about how it was really difficult to keep this car underneath you. And I've just noticed something else as well. What happened to Eddie Jones? So Eddie Jones, I believe that was Victor Lane asking us that one. Eddie Jones, that's an interesting one, because I don't think he's on track right now. I think he's gone. Yes, he is. So not entirely sure what happened to Eddie Jones, but I did see him. He was doing all right until he came down pit road, and then potentially got further back in the pack. We didn't see anything on the live timing software. So not sure what happened to Jones, but that is huge, as it looked like he was a very top contender here tonight. Jeremy Mayo, yes, this is 100% our longest green flag run of the night so far. All the way from lap 88 to 122 now. Oh, sorry, lap 88 is when they pitted in, around about lap 90, 91. As Dwayne MacArthur and Josh Robinson still having a bit of a battle here up at the front. Tom Ogle is probably relieved not to see Eddie Jones just behind, as those two definitely having a history together between competitors. As Brian Lindsay now slightly further back is catching up to Chaussee once again, after Chaussee made that move earlier on. And trying to get that spot back into the top 10. So a big gap opened up between Garisco in the 9th position and Chaussee or Lindsay now in the top 10 positions. If Lindsay can make this move. Oh, Chaussee goes very, very wide. So Lindsay definitely making that move, as Chaussee struggles a little bit. And Chris Bates tries to take advantage as well. Currently still single file up at the front. If they get very, very close, you can be sure I will be panning back to them, as Chaussee is stuck on the high side, not able to get down, as it looks like Wayne Hufford is going to stick his nose in. And speaking of, MacArthur got very, very close for a second there between MacArthur and Robinson, as lap traffic in the 18 machine almost having a bit of a problem there with Troy Baker in that 18 machine, getting a little bit loose, maybe tagging that outside wall just a tad. And I'm sure MacArthur was very worried in that driver's seat now, as it looks like Robinson is right on the back bumper. And we're going to jump on board for a couple of laps with Michael Watts, who's provided us with an in-car camera here tonight. We'll just have a look at what it's like going around here at the Martinsville Paperclip in just a moment, as we get ready to go past into turns 3 and 4, and then we will switch over to that and we'll just take it in. Oops, that was a mistake. So there is a lot of time spent off the throttle and only half throttle, as you can see the RPM gauge there, and potentially hear just a little bit of the engine. Probably should have turned that one up, but that's okay. As Dwayne MacArthur is still under fire from Josh Robinson. I am sorry, I thought I was prepared completely for that gyro cam, and I was really not prepared at all. But, you know, bygones be bygones. You live and you learn. And we keep on going in the right direction as Dwayne MacArthur and Josh Robinson actually looks like they've extended that gap just a little bit. You can see Ogle dropping back a tiny bit. Watts is dropping back a tiny bit. It's about 3/10 between all these drivers. So just feeling each other out, just getting used to how they're all running. And Robinson is really trying to catch the rear bumper of Dwayne MacArthur, but trying to pass someone here at Martinsville without actually getting into their rear bumper. And we're being told Hill has gone around. So Dan Hill goes around. We stayed green. Jeremy Mayo pointing it out, seeing it without me seeing it. Honestly, incredible work by Jeremy Mayo. Might have to pull up here in the booth with those kinds of spotting skills. As we're just going to have a look at what happened to Hill. And, oh, just gets into Troy Baker. Gets into lap traffic. And unbelievably, that didn't bring out a caution. I have no idea how. As we continue under green for the moment. Yeah, Jeremy Mayo, fantastic spotting. Thank you very much for that one. Dustin Martinson as well was also with the spotting skills, also coming in telling us that he saw that too. But Dan Hill doing a great job to keep going in the right direction, really. He's fallen down at the moment to the 9th position. Potentially a little bit of damage to that front left-hand corner. But not seeming to be affecting him too much, as his lap times are still pretty consistent here and faster than the drivers just ahead of him, and has found himself in a nice gap between the two packs that we have developing out on track. So doing a great job so far to keep that car underneath him, keep it pointed in the right direction. So Wayne MacArthur now still trying to work out how to get around this lap traffic as Pearson goes high and lets him through. And Robinson right behind. Still, Robinson just does not want to let MacArthur out of his sights. Is right on the back bumper and continues to be within 0.3 of a second. As the rest of the field has really fanned out quite a bit. Closest battles on track so far are actually going to be just behind this pack, as Eric Essery thinks about making a move to Lloyd Moore. Not quite able to do so for that 5th place position, trying to use Pearson as a pick. That lap down car can be so helpful to make a pass, and then more. That's about as close as you can get. The iRacing gods giveth, as they do not allow that one to be down to netcode. So thankfully, Eric Essery and Lloyd Moore getting away with that one, as Essery is going to take that spot. Pearson goes as high as possible, not wanting to get involved in this fight at all, as Essery does manage to take that spot away. So not coming down pit road, really paying dividends for Essery more than anyone else, as he has made up a whole bunch of positions due to that fact. And again, one of those drivers we consistently see after long runs, making his way up through the field and making passes slowly but steadily, not getting involved in any accidents, and once again, proving to pay dividends here at Martinsville Speedway. As Robinson and MacArthur continue to be so close together. These two drivers just cannot get away from each other. It seems week in and week out, we have a MacArthur, Robinson, Ogle, Eddie Jones, and Michael Watts show. Eddie Jones, unfortunately, with an issue earlier on. Not quite sure what happened to him. But there's reason why he's not near the front at the moment, as Dwayne MacArthur continues to make his way around. Robinson just will not let him go. I'm very surprised at how these drivers are able to hold their lines as well as they do. You can see time and time again, these drivers, I guess they just get into a rhythm but it must be so taxing mentally as well as physically to continue turning the wheel and hit your marks every single lap non-stop, especially for, what have we run? About 55 laps right now under green, so that is absolutely incredible. Martinson saying Essery is super underrated. Bish coming in telling us that Moore has put in work and Essery is really good. There's some love coming out for Eric Essery at the moment, and I love to see it as well, because one of those drivers that typically, as I said, just bides his time, just waits patiently, doesn't have a big call around him, and doesn't make a huge statement very often in terms of presence, but just finds his way into these top positions week in and week out, especially when we have these long green flag runs. Doing a phenomenal job right now. And as well, we're also getting a shout out from, like I said, Lloyd Moore as well. Doing a great job, but he's currently getting passed by McDaniel and Garisco trying to take advantage as well, as it looks like Moore actually might be getting a little bit loose. I'm not sure. It looks like he caught the curb a little bit there, actually. So that might have got him a little bit loose on exit there for a second. But it's looking a little bit slower recently as opposed to some of the other drivers around him, unable to maintain the same pace as some of these other drivers. So I wonder if there's a little bit of tyre wear. We said tyre wear is not a huge factor here, but they have been racing for a long time, and I don't think Moore came down. Mind you, Joshua Robinson and Dwayne MacArthur have not come down pit road at all. So I guess I don't know what I'm talking about when I say that, but Lloyd Moore seems to be struggling a little bit now. Potentially that fatigue that we were talking about, whether it be physical or mental or a bit of both, coming into play with some of these drivers, and Lloyd Moore falling victim potentially to that, as Dan Hill has worked his way back up from that earlier incident and is right on the back bumper of Lloyd Moore right now. So a lot of chat happening in the spectator area. That's what we love to see. Friendly banter. It's good stuff to see, and I very much enjoy it. And I'm sure the viewers do too, and these drivers will, as they will enjoy going back more often than not, watching the broadcast and having a look at how I do and whether I actually perform to their standard, as well as enjoying the driver conversation in the chat room. So definitely keep that one up, and it means a great deal to me, as it definitely makes my work a lot more entertaining. I'm pretty sure I said that right, but I think I had a little bit of a hiccup during, as Dwayne MacArthur is still finding himself under fire as we pan the camera all the way back. Up with Josh Robinson. Oh, Robinson's got both though. Look, you can really see, now that cloud cover has come over Martinsville Speedway, you can clearly see those rims absolutely glowing, the fronts and the rears. Especially on Josh Robinson's car, so using a lot more brake, it looks like, than Dwayne MacArthur. And that is definitely an interesting one, as both of these drivers have been out on track on the same set of tyres. And I wonder, as amazing as Josh Robinson's long run pace usually is, I wonder if he's using just a little bit too much brake, trying desperately to keep right on the back bumper of MacArthur, and if that's going to affect his overall speed in the last 10 laps or so. It very much could. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, as they are currently the closest two on track right now. Oh, Robinson looked like he had a little bit of a bobble and maybe a tiny love tap from Ogle saying, come on, get going, as Ogle and Robinson and Watts, now all four drivers really getting together as Watts has a little bit of a bobble, so drops slightly further back, but I'm sure he'll catch up in due course. As the four of them with 15 laps to go, coming to 14 laps to go. They are getting very, very close together. And lap traffic is right ahead. This could definitely come into play here. There's lap traffic going as high as possible. Great job staying out of the way of the leaders. As we've had a nice long green flag run so far. And I really should not be saying that because commentator's curse is going to come back to bite me, I'm sure, any minute now. But Dwayne MacArthur and Josh Robinson still having a great fight. Ogle looks like slowed down a little bit there. Michael Watts just behind. Not as close as I thought though, just a little bit, just hanging behind just a little bit. As he is working his way around, but Dwayne MacArthur and Josh Robinson still working their way through traffic. Pearson just ahead. What's Pearson going to do? Over driver radio, I'm sure MacArthur's saying, please get out of the way. Pearson goes high, not wanting to get out of the groove though, all of a sudden does. As he realized there was no way to keep that one underneath him. So he goes way out wide as MacArthur and Robinson are starting to really reel in Brian Lynch and Wayne Hufford. So at the moment we have 13 cars on the lead lap, no more and no less. As Brian Lynch, it looked like, has disappeared off the screen, has gone. Brian Lynch has disappeared, may have had a reach of the 7X with Wayne Hufford just in front of the leaders. That was very, very close indeed. We might cue that one up really quick. Oh, definitely. Okay. So they get in okay. And then Hufford just gets a little bit turned on the exit. And Brian Lynch is gone. Michael Dow apologizing to Dustin. Hope they didn't cause a spin after hitting the left rear. So Wayne doing a great job though of keeping it up in 12th position though, not really getting hurt too much as Dwayne MacArthur and Tom Ogle. Wait a minute, Tom Ogle, what happened to Robinson? What has happened? Surely I just missed something. I'm not being shown anything on the live timing. Let's have a look at this pass between Ogle and Robinson. So Ogle's just made that pass. Oh, Robinson just went way out wide. Nowhere near the groove. So falling back behind both of those drivers now. As Robinson finds himself in 4th position. Getting on those brakes too hard, you can see how glowing they are, and now Robinson's starting to lose grip. You can tell that they must be getting right down to the edge of their tyre life if Robinson, of all people, is losing the grip. So MacArthur still struggling with the front, with all 4 tyres that have been on since the start of this race. I don't know, he's going to have to hold off Ogle for 3 more laps. Can he manage to do so? It's very much coming down to the wire as Ogle is going to put as much pressure as possible onto the rear end of MacArthur's 83 machine. MacArthur wanting that Toyota to find its way into victory lane. Ogle definitely wanting to put his Mustang up there as they both run slightly wide. And Watts catches right up to the rear but unable to do anything about it as Ogle and MacArthur still going at it. The white flag is out. Chris Bates is going to be just in front in the 11th position. Potentially coming into play, but I think he's going to have enough room between MacArthur and himself. As Ogle makes a last-ditch effort, he's going to have to do it. MacArthur goes for the big block. Ogle on the high side, going to try a switchback, I believe. Not going to be able to do it. Gets a little bit loose, and MacArthur's going to take home the win. Ogle and Watts just behind in second and third. What a drive. What a race. The three drivers there line up. You can see Ogle and Robinson deciding where they wanted to align themselves. Robinson stopping for just a second and then starting in the classic Robinson fashion. Very disappointed that he was not. I think that was Watts, not Robinson. Excuse me, their paints look very similar. As we bring up the results for you, as MacArthur has his moment with a bit of a burnout and it's celebrating. Definitely deserved win. The 83 machine up in front. Tom Ogle in second. Michael Watts in third. Josh Robinson in fourth. Greg McDaniel in fifth. Robert Carisco sixth. Eric Essery in seventh. Dan Hill in eighth. Floyd Moore in the ninth position. And Brian Lindsay with a 10th place finish. And once again, as I have done in the past, as MacArthur doing a great job burning out backwards. Well, not burning out backwards, but burning out in a straight line. I, for one, cannot do that. That's some talent right there. As he's blown the motor. Oh my. The, the his pit crew are not going to be very happy about that. As we will cycle back through the results ever so slightly, just so you can have a look at your favorite drivers while we prepare for our driver interviews. All right, so I have Dwayne MacArthur joining me right now in the broadcast booth. Dwayne, welcome. He's just left. He's realized he's made a mistake. He was meant to be gaming for the waiting room. We'll pull him back up here and ask him what he was doing when he comes back. He must be celebrating too hard, not exactly knowing where he wants to be. But we're going to bring Mike Watts in here and celebrating his third position. Michael Watts bringing it home. How are you doing in that 84 machine?
Oh, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, Michael. That was a lot to watch and a lot going on. Now, tell me what you think from your perspective. You were doing so well up on the front, and were tires as big a factor as you thought they were going to be, or did they not wear out as quick as you were thinking they were going to?
I don't think they fell off near as much. I'm not as good on my tires as Dwayne and Tom, but I can hold my own, and I don't know. I thought we ran pretty well. Um, at one point, Tom got aggressive for the lead, and I let him have it, and then kind of dropped back a little bit. And then we just had cautions, a lot of cautions, more than I've seen here. It's not really OVRL style, but overall, we had a really good car. And then, after that final stop, we were pretty much all in the same tires except for Dwayne. So, we were running like I guess you could throw a blanket over us. We were running so close, but it was fun. It was a real fun race today. And I got to thank everybody for watching and coming out.
Yeah, it was very, very close. It was a great race all around. I very much enjoyed it, and I'm sure the spectators did as well. Now, first of all, I want to say, is it very windy up in at Martinsville down on track at the moment? Because it seems like there's a bit of wind in your microphone at the moment. Uh, hopefully everything's okay with you as well, because I know at the moment it is, or it has been tornado season fairly recently up in the States.
No, sorry, that was a cooling fan. You work up quite a sweat with these cars. It's a little stressful to a point to hit your braking marks every lap, and with so many laps here, and I think we were all pretty much shifting, and you got to hit your shift points and not, um, give too much throttle too early. There's a lot of things that you got to hit, and a lot of timing involved. It's a rhythm track for sure, so you tend to sweat it out quite a bit, especially with these guys, because they will keep you on your toes. If you don't give them 100%, they will take your spot. So,
Absolutely. Well, we were definitely watching, and I did mention it at some point or another. The fatigue was really. I mean, I reckon that was really coming into play towards the end there. Was that green flag run? I mean, that must have been, like you said, you were sweating it out. So that must have been absolutely crazy. Were you almost praying for a caution at some point during that because of how demanding the track was becoming?
uh, no, I mean, yeah, it was tough there at the end. I was just like, I heard my spotter counting down the laps, and I was just like, let's go, let's go, let's get to the end. And I was kind of hoping that Tom and Dwayne would have an unfortunate accident racing each other. So and then I'd take the lead like Kyle Petty did once before at Richmond. But wasn't to be. I just did my best to pressure um, Tom the whole race or most of the race, and I still think we had a pretty good finish, and I'm happy with it. So. Um, Being on the podium is kind of like a win here in Cup Series. It's tough to race these guys. They're all very very good.
All right, well spoken indeed, Mike. And finally, one thing just before you go. Obviously, I'm gonna have to let you go eventually. I'll just keep you here for. Um, as finally before you go, like I was trying to say, uh, any sponsors, friends, family you'd like to shout out here for this third place? Definitely deserving.
Oh yeah, I'd like to thank Lowe's and USAA Insurance and my friends and family that let me do this. You know, with the OBRL, the guys for coming out, and the people that watch our broadcast. Appreciate everything that everybody does for this league, and yeah, I'm happy to race here. Happy to race with these guys. So, um, I don't know what else to say about that. I look forward to maybe being the podium again sometime in the future. But we'll see.
All right, sounds good, Michael. We'll catch you later. Have a good one, and make sure to celebrate big.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Right, that was Michael Watts bringing it home in the third place position. Up next, Tom Ogle is going to be in the second place position, and I'm already laughing, getting excited for this interview. Tom Ogle, welcome to the booth. How you feeling?
Good. I'll take a second. That was tough racing. I thought I would be better on new tires than those guys, but once I caught him, I couldn't really do anything with him, and I kind of had to protect from Mike Watts because he was maybe a little faster than me, but how fast you are doesn't seem to matter because you're shifting, so you can make a mistake and completely blow through the corner and just grab a gear and get the guys up off, you know?
Uh, yeah, I mean, it seems like you were one of the few drivers, I have to say, that actually got a little bit loose on corner exit more than anyone else, but you, unlike some of the other drivers, you managed to keep it underneath you. Was that really just shifting between third and fourth gear was causing that issue, or just getting on the power
Yeah,
too much?
I think so. Like I was kind of opening up the entry and then cutting to the bottom and trying to get a run off. Well, you have the car pinched a little bit, and if I pinched it off a little bit, it would get loose, and I would just have to basically check. You have to get off the gas. You can't drive out of it, or you're gonna overcorrect and go to the wall.
Yeah, well, I mean, I tell you again, like you seem to be you seem to be the one of the ones who was able to do it. So, I mean, you did a great job, and Michael Watts
I
seemed
wrecked
to.
about 300 times in practice, so I knew what not to do.
Hey, you got all the wrecks out of the way, Tom. That's,
Yes, I
as,
did.
as long as
Plus,
you get
like,
them out of the way in practice and don't bring them to the race, that's the main thing.
right? And with the cautions, it's hard to get in a groove, you know? And I just didn't know what to do on that one caution when I pitted. You don't know what to do. And then so many guys stayed out that I kind of burnt up my tires a little bit getting up back up to him. So it equaled out.
Yeah,
Track
well,
position was everything tonight, my friend.
yeah, it definitely looked that way, but I believe you did take tires. You did come in at lap 88, and that was before our big green flag run. Mike Watts was talking about just how sweaty he was at the end of the race and how demanding the track was. Did you feel that as
It
well?
was. Yeah. I mean, I was watching Josh and Dwayne, and I had to kind of watch my rearview mirror, but I wasn't attacking so much, because I knew that I had to wait for one of them to make a mistake. So it was still tough racing, and Mike's fast there. So I knew if I made one mistake, you just have to really hit your marks and concentrate. And then you're working lap traffic, so it is stressful. And then you don't want to caution because then you've got to decide whether to pit again. So then, you pit from third and 10 guys stay out. You start 14th with 5 to go, and it's a disaster. So it's stressful, absolutely stressful.
All right. Well, Tom, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you as always. But who would you like to give a shout out here for this second place finish? Unfortunately, not able to get into the top spot, but I'm sure we'll see you up there pretty soon anyway.
Congratulations to Dwayne. He ran a really good race. Team Miata kind of took shifts working him over there at the end. Uh, and Mike Watts ran a really good race. He was right there, and we raced really clean. And, Lloyd Moore ran really good, and he's really improved. Well, he won last week, but, he's really on his game. So congratulations to all those guys. And thanks for putting on the race, and thanks all the sponsors and stuff. Uh, yeah, that's it.
All right, sweet. Well, Tom, we'll let you go. Enjoy the second place, and we'll see you next week for Talladega.
Do me a favor, just talk for a while without anybody in here, so Dwayne has to wait because he yelled at me to hurry up
Uh,
before I came in. Just
uh,
hold him up.
no, I don't think I will.
All right,
I,
thanks.
I think we should probably adhere
Yep,
to what Dwayne says. So I'll let you go, and I'll
I'll
catch
see
you
you.
later, Tom.
All right, thanks.
All right, that was Tom Ogle bringing it home in second. Up in first, we're going to have to hurry up because he wants us to hurry up. Dwayne MacArthur bringing it home in the first position. Welcome to the booth. How are you feeling?
I'm pretty pumped up, Gareth. Don't come into Martinsville expecting to win races in this league, so I'm pretty excited.
Well, I tell you, it looked like a pretty fantastic race from what I saw. And I cannot describe. I mean, how did you find it going through 24 different cars out on track to make your way to the top? That must have been insane.
Yeah, it wasn't that dramatic. With all those cautions at the beginning, I kind of got 1 or 2 spots in all of those, and then I didn't pit to get the last 8 of them. I think 5 of us stayed out there, so I raced that whole race on the same set of tires I started on. So I got a few positions that way, so it wasn't as dramatic as it sounds.
All right. Well, I tell you what, Dwayne, well, I mean, it may not have sounded dramatic, but it definitely looked dramatic on broadcast. It looked fantastic. So it was great to see you come up through the field. And yeah, I guess before you go, because, well, I mean, we've got to bring this up before. You joined the broadcast booth straight away. Were you trying to get into the waiting room and you just misclicked, or how did that work?
Yep, absolutely. Clicked on the wrong thing, heard you talking, panicked, and
Ah,
clicked out.
well, we were trying to get an interview out of you as soon as we could because we saw you in here, but kind of left me high and dry. But we got to talk to you now, so that's the main
I,
thing.
w- I, w- I was busy pouring champagne over my pit crew and everything, so I needed to go take care of that first.
Oh, fair enough. Well, I know that grandfather clock will look very good in your living room. So you should go and enjoy that one. But before we let you go, Dwayne, final send-offs of the night. Who you gonna thank, shout out, and let know of this win here tonight?
Yeah, just want to say, thanks to all the guys that we raced against out there. A couple of guys there raced for about 80 laps with Tom and Josh, and I think Mike was there too, and really close racing. And without a little bit of respect, that could go the wrong way. So thanks to all of the guys and the way they race out there. And thanks to all the admins that help run this league. And to our sponsors, Kimball, Aolog, Butt Kickers, Admin Box, and Victory Lane Sports. And of course, to the best broadcasters in the world, Team Goon Squad, for putting this on every week for us. So it's a shame James isn't here. I'm sure he's taking care of chickens or dropping plywood on his foot or something, but I'm sure we'll see him soon.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to seeing him as well. He's always a blast to do some broadcasting with. But
That's right.
Dwayne, it's been great to see you, and hopefully you enjoy this win. This is your second win of the season. And how are you feeling heading into Talladega, just quickly before you go?
Uh, Talladega is what it is. Typically we run okay there. If we get some green flag stops and we can get a clean stop, we, the racing becomes a little different. You can maybe try to run away a little bit. We usually just, cross our fingers at the end and hope it goes okay. Um, I'm I'm 50-50 on the plate races. Looking forward to more of the Dovers and Darlingtons coming up after that. But to win at Martinsville, this might be, I won a few races in my career, but to win the Cup Series here in the OBRL at Martinsville is a big deal. I'm pretty excited about it. So
All right, that is great news. So we'll talk to you later, I'm sure. And yeah, go celebrate with the rest of the pit boys.
yeah, thanks, buddy. Take it easy.
To Dwayne. All right, that was Dwayne MacArthur leaving us here in the broadcasting booth, all alone at the moment. But that's okay, as that's kind of what we're used to. So we will let all of you go home as well. Hopefully you enjoyed the broadcast. Brought to you once again by Team Goon Squad here, bringing you the action from the Old Bastards Racing League and the Kim Bowl Cup Series. I have been Gareth McAllister, hopefully bringing you the action in 1080p and 60 frames, and as well as I could, as basically we're just having fun, and we will see you next week. Get ready for Talladega, because it's going to be absolutely awesome, and I will see you then. Have a good night, everyone.